You're listening to The Rich Life Revolution with me, Michelle Cooper. My mission is to empower you to step into your next level of wealthy. You'll hear all the deets, a little bit of inspiration, and real life takeaways so that you can create your own rich life revolution. Let's dig in. Hey everyone, welcome to the Rich Life Revolution. I'm your host, Michelle Cooper, and this is episode 22 with my friend, Karla Silver. We're going to dive into embracing the fear. You know what they say, feel the fear and do it anyways. We've all seen the poster, but there really is a time that comes in our life, all of us, where we face big changes. Maybe this happens once or twice, these really significant events. I've had them. I'm sure you've had them. Karla's had them. And you might feel like you're redefining yourself. You're stepping into your new you. Now, for some of us, we can feel like we redefine ourselves every couple of years or even more frequently than that. However, often when this comes up, how you deal with these situations has a major impact on how everything shakes out in the end. On today's episode, my good friend and client, Karla Silver, who is a marketing genius, a coach, and one of the all-around coolest people that I know. Like, seriously, this chick worked at MTV in the 80s. You can't get more cool than that, okay? Joining me on the podcast today to talk about new yous, big changes, and what she calls the whiteboard of life. So let's dive in. Hey, Karla, how are you?
I am awesome. I'm so excited to be here with you, Michelle.
I know. I love this. You are one of my besties. Like, you just hold such a special place in my heart. And I'm so excited that you want to come on to the Rich Life Revolution and share your story. I think your story can be so impactful for other people.
Crazy.
Tell us a little bit about you, where you're at right now. Where do you live? What do you do? What's going on with Karla Silver?
Oh, holy crap. I'm so tempted to make up a whole story, but I won't. I was born a poor child. And no, I won't do that. So my name is Karla Silver. I have been in the network marketing industry now for almost 20 years. I have built companies to the top ranks of their companies. But right now I am focused on helping other network marketers build and automate their businesses online so they can rank up, make more money, have more time, all the good things that all entrepreneurs want, but have more time to spend with the people they love most in their lives. Because that, when I was transitioning from corporate America, in my case, because I'm from the US, corporate into entrepreneurship, what I wanted the most badly, because my job had taken so much away from me. I just wanted to spend the most time I possibly could with the people I loved the most in my life. And at that time, there was really no working from home. And I'm like, oh my God, you mean I can actually do this thing from my house and call my own hours and make money? I'm going to be rich. This is going to be awesome. So that's my story, and I'm sticking with it.
That's awesome. I love that. One of the things that I love about what you do, because it kind of just weaves into my mission in the world, right? Like, me personally, I never want women to be trapped in a job they hate, where they're undercompensated or maybe abused, trapped in a relationship because they don't have, the means to get out, trapped in a business even of their own that they feel is no longer lighting their fire, kind of thing. I don't want women to be trapped, mostly because women are trapped because they don't have financial independence, they don't have financial security, they don't have financial literacy. So my whole thing is like, women need to not be trapped anymore. And a way out often for women is network marketing.
It's frequently the very first step. And someone's, it was for me, although I was officially building network marketing businesses until just a few years ago. But I still consider myself, while I'm not building, I'm still getting paid by some network marketing businesses. And that's the person I serve. But I think that, just back to your trapped, I think that, I don't know if you even want me to say this, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't really care. I think we're all trapped to a certain extent. And this could be a whole nother conversation about what we think we can do, who we are right now, all those mental traps. But I agree with you. Part of my mission, and I think you know this, part of my mission is because I'm an internet marketer, a digital marketer, and I want to teach network marketers how to leverage this beautiful thing, not just social media, but digital marketing and actual marketing. Though the people in the highest echelons of internet marketing, digital marketing, and et cetera, are all men. And so my passion, one of my biggest passions, is changing that equation, helping women understand how digital marketing works, how internet marketing works, because this is my opinion, well, financial literacy is the same. Once you learn this, you can apply it to anything. If your life blows up tomorrow, my life is blown up a bajillion times along the way, you can go and market something else the next day and start to make money right away. So we're very, very much in alignment there.
Yeah, and it's true, right? You know, a mentor of mine used to say to me, you don't have to know everything in business. You have to be a really good fucking marketer.
Yeah.
If you're a really good marketer, you can sell iced Eskimos kind of thing. And what I love about business, entrepreneurship, and network marketing is that, especially with network marketing, it's like you get a little business in a box almost, right? Like, here, get this thing, you're off and running. Now, what I love about what you do is that you help people leverage that. Right. So it's not just like, I don't know, go talk to 50 of your friends or whatever. Right. It's like, no, let's leverage that. Let's create processes. Let's create automation. Let's blow this thing up.
Yeah, because people don't want to be sold the thing.
No.
Right? They don't. And so I've never done the friends and family thing, building my business. I've never made that list of 100 people I've known since high school. And I'm kind of a unique unicorn because of that. But I am, and you know this about me, I am massively introverted. I've learned coping skills to be able to present in front of people, et cetera, but I'm not usually on Zoom, so there's nobody here, right? But I wouldn't be sitting here with you, Michelle. I wouldn't have met you however many years ago I met you. I wouldn't have met and been able to have impacted so many people's lives. So network marketing, and we don't have to talk a ton about network marketing, but network marketing is usually a really good entry point because it is a business in a box, because they give you the products, they do the drop shipping, they do the accounting, they do all of that. The only thing that the company that you're repping doesn't do is the marketing. Network marketing companies chose that model because they don't want to do the marketing. They want to pay you to do the marketing. And I think that's the big difference. So I'm very fortunate that I love marketing. I fell in love with it over the years. I am working on increasing my financial literacy because I recognize the other half of the equation, right? I can make money all day long, but the other side has been gone has gone on, woo, because for so long I just would make money and just spend it. And that got me in a lot of trouble along the way.
Well, yeah. And it's, it's part of your money archetype, right? Which is powerful. And when we understand that, we can create strategies. And so this is one of the things that you and I have been working on over the past couple of months or whatever, more than a couple of months, of you stepping into more of an empowered relationship with money in not abdicating decisions, financial decisions, like being a voice in the process, which I think is really, really important. And to be honest, like in my business, working with you, like my team working with you, it has caused me to consider the kind of services that we offer to people, in that I don't want people to abdicate responsibility, because that's just another form of flight, fight, freeze. So we want to support them and help them move into a more empowered relationship with money, right? Which is ultimately what I want women to have.
So I think sometimes, because I experience this with my clients, they want me to teach them the marketing, but they don't want to actually do the marketing, right? So I've kind of felt the same way. I'm like, oh, I really need this, but you go do it. Right. And that is doing myself a disservice and not fully taking advantage of everything that alchemy has, right, which is amazing. And so that was the process that I had to go through, recognizing that for me to be better at teaching, I actually have to walk the walk in other areas of my life, too.
Right. Agreed. Oh my God, I'm learning that live in this moment. Having just come back from an amazing holiday to Kenya and all kinds of craziness that entailed in that and growth for me in areas that I didn't expect. So I wonder, because I know you have lots of experience in transition, in transformation of your life. You and I have both been through really dramatic things in our lives. And I think there's times where we both have put our head down and just stepped into our business because everything else feels like it's falling apart around us, right? And so you kind of reach for what you feel you can control sometimes. So for our listener at Rich Life Revolution, a lot of our listeners are women who are wanting to create their next chapter. And that can feel really scary. It can feel scary to walk away. Have you ever walked away from something that, other people would be like, this is a dream situation and what are you doing? And can you share anything about that?
Actually, I don't want to hope this on anyone, but I hope people have made big choices like that about things in their lives, that this is not serving me now. This is not in alignment with where I want my life to go. I mean, I walked away from a very, very lucrative career. Actually, I have to be fully honest. I was downsized, but the entire industry, there were no jobs for anyone. I was in the dot-com bust. I am now telling everybody my age in the early 2000s when everybody got fired. So, and then I've had companies go out of business or that I've been in. I've been in companies where they stopped paying people in the U.S. I have good companies, et cetera. And I left. Interesting that you bring this up because the second company that I was with, I got started and I had to make an income right away. I had to replace the income I was already making. So I busted my ass, right? I just busted my ass. And at the end of the summer, I won a contest. I wasn't setting out to win a contest, although I love contests. Give me a contest and I'll win it, right? I'll win that iPad or whatever, yeah. But I won a contest, and I was the number one recruiter over that 6-month period. Well, you would think, yay, right? Yay me, I won an iPad. That was my first iPad I ever won. I won an iPad and a trip to New York, but it also exposed me to the leadership of the company. And that 2 months later, I was out for a whole host of reasons. So that was a decision that I had to make based on where I wanted to go. And I had been turned on to an idea around designing your life, my life. I was in years ago. A lot of people read this book. It was bestseller for ages. I read
4-Hour Work Week.
4-Hour Work Week. After that, I created a brand called the 20-Hour Work Week because I could never get my hours to 6 or to 4. But so I got confused. So I read 4-Hour Work Week in 2006, and that just started a whole conversation internally that I've been having with myself since. What do I want my life to look like? And then working backwards from there. And I have to say, when life has been its darkest, which everybody has experienced, one of the biggest things that have saved me is just saying, okay, because now I have a blank slate, or blankish slate, right? I have a big change happened, a separation of something or removal of something in my life, I have a beautiful whiteboard or whatever you want to call it that I can say, what do I want now? What do I want my life to look like? And how can I make that happen? Who do I need to be to make that happen? What breakthroughs do I have to make, right?
So you bring up a really important piece, right? Which is, who am I being? A lot of people, go to the, what am I doing? How do I do this? What am I doing? That kind of, they start there. And I know to my soul, because I've experienced this over and over again, it's not about what you're doing. It's, first of all, it's who you're being. That's the most important thing. And who do you want to be? Like, I had a whole conversation with my team around this idea of personal brand, even though they're just, they're employees, they work for me kind of thing. But it was like, you have a personal brand, right? You are the person who's always early to the meetings. You are the person who the clients love. You are the funny, awkward, weird person who loves Star Trek. I don't know. But we have a personal brand, and we also get to decide what that is. All of us, every single one of us.
I like to say that we're building our brand whether we know it or not. We might as well do it intentionally.
Right? And I built a brand unintentionally, not in my business right now, but in previous versions of myself that I'm not particularly proud of, to be honest, in my younger years. And I don't think I realized that I had a choice.
No, we're not told we have a choice. There's a road. Go walk that road.
Right? It's like, this is the path you're on. Have at her, kind of thing. And this is the things that come with you, the stories that come with you, the trauma, the whatever, and you just kind of carry on. I always feel like if I had known all this stuff in my 20s, life would have been very different.
Oh, yeah. I was an idiot.
I was an idiot. Oh my God. If there was a bad choice to be made, I made it. Okay? That is me. My dad used to say, if there's like two guys and one's like a drug addict that's in jail and like, I don't know, is got something else really bad wrong with them. And then there's like the really great guy who is super responsible and has like a savings account, you would pick the guy in jail, Michelle. Right? That was like my life choice in every aspect, not just guys. Like, I would take the risky job. I would take all of that. And I didn't realize that, like that was also, it was unconscious, but I was doing it on purpose kind of thing, right? Based on what I believed I deserved.
Well, you were a result, not just your decisions, but your parents' thoughts and expectations and their parents' thoughts and expectations. We actually don't feel totally responsible for that girl that I was in the 20s. I mean, honestly, I was making the choices that I thought were right at the time, but they were based on all of this crap that had been handed down through my family. And then I got around all these different kinds of people, and I started thinking like them, and they weren't so great either. So, right. And so then I'm like, oh, that's a different way of looking at it. And so I never was at a place where until I was much older, and I can tell you what happened until I was much older when I realized, you mean that I can be anyone, anything?
Mind blown. You get to decide.
I was told this in my first opportunity by Bob Proctor, of all people, or Andy Andrews. I think it was Bob Proctor. And I was confused because I'm like, well, if I can be anyone, who is that? Who is that? I spent months and months and months trying to figure it, because they're like, be that person. I'm like, who is it? I could be a brain surgeon. I could be like, there were just too many choices until something happened. I went to an event. Let me tell you this quick story. So I went to a company event. I will just say this. I showed up. I was broke at the time. I showed up in Cancun at this event with $18 left on a credit card. $18. This was thank goodness I was at the Moon Palace, which was an all-expense, an all-inclusive thing. And I'm watching this woman on the stage. She's saying, I am the CEO of a multi-million-dollar corporation. And she went on, and she was a powerful speaker. And I'm not telling anyone that's watching or listening that you need to be that. But for me, I'm like, ooh, I know, because I called on them in my past, CEOs of multi-million-dollar corporations. Now, they were all 40-year-old white men at the time, but I knew that. So I kind of identified with that. But here's the kicker. She got off stage. We all went home. I made it home on my $18. And I found out later that she was brand new at that company. She hadn't made any money at all. But guess what happened? At the end of that first year, she was the number one income earner at that company and made more than $1 million. She had decided that that's who she was going to be, and she was going to make 100% of her decisions from that point of view. So this is, for me, because people kept saying this idea of be, do, I know I'm blabbing away, I'll shut up in a second, but this idea of be, do, have, like be that person, do those things, and you'll have those results, which is backwards from what we're normally taught. At that point, I'm like, oh, all right, I'm going to be. And there was a bunch of other things that happened, but every time adversity happens, I'm like, okay, I have a chance to say, who am I going to be in this moment? And how am I going to deal with it? And how am I going to move further towards my perfectly designed life?
Yeah, like that's awesome. And I love the fact that, like you said, these times where it feels like, our life is falling apart, or, it's this really dark moment, what I call like on your knees kind of moment. It's a clean slate. It's a clean whiteboard for you to design what you want. And that was partly my experience, right? Where my husband was removed from Canada, like my marriage was over, my kids were with him. On the other side of the world, it was like, okay, what do we do now? Right? Like this is a clean slate kind of thing. And it takes time. It's the transition or the transformation. It doesn't happen overnight. For me, I'm 5 years along from that moment. And life is freaking awesome at this point. But there's still transition going on. What do they say? The only constant is change. There's still things that are transitioning. They're transforming. There's expansion. There's contraction. Like there's all of that. I was listening to a podcast this morning where he was talking about like there is no such thing as stasis. Like nothing is solid. Like it's just here all the time. It's always in movement.
That can be really scary if you look at life that way. And it also can be really motivating, right? I know that I'm like, I don't got a lot of time. Let's get this done, right? I want to get to my goals faster. I want to do these things faster. And that can make people stop. And like, oh God, I got all this. It's uncomfortable. Believe me, it's uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable.
So what do you do? What would you recommend somebody do if that does make them stop? It feels so uncomfortable.
Well, especially entrepreneurs that have to go live and do things and post and write emails and be on social and all of that stuff. I can only share what I do. Frankly, even harder than what you're going through or I was going through at the time is dealing with the shit in my head. Honestly, it is harder, well, for me, to keep my head on straight than the facts of what's happening. Now, that is a very different viewpoint than most people have. Most people are like, I got to deal with this thing. I think I might be just judging what I don't know. I'm assuming. But my battle is always, okay, how do I keep my head on straight? How do I stay positive? How do I continue moving my business forward? Do I feel like a fake? Do I feel like, is it wrong? So I can only share what I do. Number one, I try to look at the problem from an observer point of view. You and I have had this conversation in the past where we've had some cash flow issues and there's problems and you're like, they're just numbers, Karla. They're just numbers, right? And so that is like divorcing yourself from a bunch of numbers in a bank somewhere or actually online on the internet somewhere. And I try to look at it as an observer. And then I do fill my head constantly with audio, podcasts, things, reprogramming, positivity, books. I have to admit that that is my fallback every time. It's just and I did that in my network marketing businesses too, positive things, but even I would listen to the business presentation over and over and over again to reignite my excitement about what I can create. So I'm doing that, but that's the battle. If I can win that, the other stuff, I know I don't want to belittle anyone's problems. You have been going through some big shiz. And I'll just admit, I'm currently going through some massive issues. I think everybody is to a certain degree, but there's just stuff happening. This helped me. There's a really short, like 30-second Tom Hanks video where he's sitting at a table with all these other famous movie stars. I don't remember. Denzel Washington. I don't remember who else was there. Martin Scorsese. I don't know. Big names. And they asked him, what is the best piece of advice you ever got, or something like that? Or what would you tell somebody that was, in this case, I'll just apply it to our conversation. What would you tell somebody that is going through a hard time and having to face adversity and looking to redesign their life and is daunted by that? And his answer now might sound really trite, but it's like, this too shall pass. When you don't get this or that horrible thing, this too shall pass. When you win an Oscar, this too shall pass. When it's all, it was for me that little thing, I'm like, okay, I'm old enough now to know that this too shall pass. Like, it'll all be over with at some point, and life goes like this, and that's what I do. Unless I've told you, do you know something else I do? Because we talk frequently. I think that's, and I surround myself with amazing women like you, right? I'm in masterminds, I'm in positive places, I'm in groups where I'm not telling them shit all the time, right? I'm not saying, oh my God, this happened. I actually don't do that at all, barely. But I'm in supportive environments where I'm around other people that are more successful than me, that have faced other adversity, that I can say, what happened when you did this? What happened? How did you do that? And that actually, now that I think of it, is probably number 2 in order of priority, or equal to me filling my brain with good stuff every single day.
Yeah, I think for me, I agree. What I put in my ears, what I consume is really important, right? And I'm very intentional about that. And I know when I start to get worried or stressy that I need to find something. Right now I'm reading a book, listening to a book that is amazing and is kind of lighting a fire under my ass. And the other thing for me, I would share with people who are listening, is I need space. So I need room to breathe and just contemplate and journal and feel into stuff, because my go-to habit is just to do. I'm a worker bee, right? I'm a generator. You and I, we could outwork anybody.
Yeah, test us.
Right? And so I have to not do that, right? I have to say, okay, yes, and there's time for you to just sit with this and feel into it. And then the other aspect I think that is important is, like you said, this too shall pass. In the moment, I'm okay. I have such gratitude because I look at my life and there's been some really shitty things that have happened and I've always been okay. I just have this really solid faith now. But it is funny. You mentioned the whole thing about masterminds and saying, oh my God, what happened to me? So when I was at my last mastermind meeting, I did share a couple of things that were happening in my business that was distressing. And then I went from there almost directly off to Kenya for a couple of weeks. And while I was away, another big thing happened in the business. And I just downloaded into Voxer all my worries and troubles and stuff. And immediately I regretted it. I was trying to delete the message, right? And I realized that I was worried about what people would think of me. And like, oh, this, are they going to think I'm, this dramatic.
You did it in your mastermind Voxer?
Yeah. And then I reached out to our mastermind organizer, Elizabeth, and I said, like, I don't want this to be all about me and what's going on in my business. Like, I don't want to focus on this because, of course, everybody had clarifying questions and wanting, how can I support you? And I was like, actually, I don't want that. And she was like, this is your area of growth. So whatever you're resisting, you have to pay attention to.
Ooh, asking for help.
Right? Right? And I was like, well, this makes me feel super uncomfortable. And she's like, because this is your area of growth. That's why you're here. You're here to grow. And it doesn't always look like how we think it's going to look. It can come to us in different ways. And that's something I've had to learn over and over again, that I'm an amazing mofo manifester. Okay. You know that.
You are.
And it often does not look the way I thought it was going to look, planned for it to look, appears on my vision board.
And here's the thing. You downloaded it. You got it out. It's the people that stew that aren't open to creating something new.
Yeah. Vulnerability, I think, is a really key piece of manifesting.
I don't know what that word means.
Yes, you do. Well, you have to feel safe, right? Like there's people. You got to have your people, right? Like I'm not crying to people that I don't trust, right? I'm not sharing my worries or concerns to people I don't trust. And it is scary, right? Like even as a business owner to be like, oh, there's shit going down in my business and my client's going, what's going on over there? Do we need to find somebody else? Like, so there's this balance we got to weigh. And also I've even noticed in this, like it affects all these other people on the periphery, like my kids, right? Like, I heard my daughter say, we're doing Halloween on a budget this year. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Well, Mom, there's stuff going down and I know you're trying to save money. I'm like, we're not doing Halloween on a budget. Like, shut up. Right? But like all of this is part of the transition and the transformation. It's being scared of this that causes us the contraction, I think. Then we're in fear.
Oh, you know what? You're right. It does. It causes contraction, but it releases a vibe, energy into the universe that affects everything. Yeah.
The universe responds to our vibration. It doesn't necessarily respond to our words kind of thing. It's our vibration. It's the energy, like that's the magnetic piece. It's so important for people to look at how they're showing up and who they're being, who they want to be.
Who they want to become. Who is that woman? Who is that beautiful woman that you're looking to be in a year, 5 years? I'm more of a short-term person. I don't want to have really long. Like, what do I want to? Who do I want to be in 10 years? I have no idea, but I know exactly who I want to be in a year. And then you can just say, well, be her today.
Yeah, be her today.
And that's actually really freeing. If you keep remembering, right? It's easy for all of us to forget. Who is that?
Totally. And I think sometimes people don't know what they want.
With me for the longest time. Also, when stuff happens, like I'm in a place where I have a whiteboard now again. I can do I don't know. I started the process and that made me feel great, but there's still new Karla to create. Who is that?
Oh my God. So one quick tip I'll share and then maybe you can share. If people don't know what they want, I always go to, well, what do I know that I don't want? I know for sure I don't want this. So what we want is probably some form of the opposite. What do you think? What would be a tip, a trick?
Well, it isn't a tip or trick and it's not sexy, but you know a couple things you want. And I am writing everything down. Like I am writing it down and then I am fleshing it out. So I don't know, let's just make up like a house at the beach. Well, does it have a porch? What are you doing in there? What does it smell like? What do you eat? What do you wear? What is that future self? Like, what is she feeling? What has she accomplished in the last year? What are you proud of? What are you grateful for? So when you go down that road, you actually can start and you'll know actually, well, no, I don't want to live at a house at the beach. Wait, no, I just want a house down the street at the blah, or I want to live nowhere, or I want to whatever, I just pick something, I pick a direction that I think, and then I revise from there. So that's maybe not sexy and anything, but it's what I do.
To me, it's a fun way to spend time. It's kind of like the whole thing of like going on Pinterest and creating your vision board on Pinterest. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever done that. That's the funnest thing to me ever.
Well, and it's overwhelming too, because like you start picking kitchen counters like that. But I don't know. I like to look at it. It isn't always fun for me. It isn't always fun for everybody because the situation is like, oh God. And it can be tiring. Let's just admit the elephant in the room, like FUCK, how many times am I going to have to reinvent myself? Well, probably, I'm guessing, since I've had to do it 100 million times, probably 100 million more. And guess what? You can look at that as an opportunity or as a chore. You decide.
And how about like maybe we take the view or perspective that it's not a thing that we're doing, right? Like it's not this, oh, here I go again, reinventing myself again. It's just a constant evolution.
Yes, but it can feel like you're like, or that I've set this goal for myself before, right? We've all done that.
Totally. And, like we're human beings, right? We have egos and we have identity. So I always remember, like in 2015, I broke my ankle and my leg playing roller derby, and I felt like my life was over because my identity was wrapped up on being a competitive roller derby player. Who am I going to be if I'm not that? Who am I going to be if I'm not my team star blocker kind of thing?
Man, I bet you were awesome.
I was awesome.
And you still are awesome.
Yeah, but in a different way, maybe. But we get wrapped up. I'm somebody's wife. I'm somebody's husband. I'm somebody's sister, whatever, mom, business owner. And we hang on to that identity. And that we have to be willing to let go of that because that identity is ego driven. There's some kind of ego hit.
And it is ego driven completely.
Yeah. So it's interesting. This is such a great conversation. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for sharing so openly and providing such incredible information, feedback, perspective, all of that. People want to look up Karla Silver. Where do they find you?
KarlaSilver.com, Facebook, Karla Kaiser Silver, Instagram, Karla Kaiser Silver. All the socials, you can find me everywhere. And my first name is spelled with a K, which might help you out a little bit.
So yeah, thank you so much. I'm so incredibly grateful. I'm incredibly grateful to have you as a friend.
Same. I love you to death, Michelle.
We're going to be like those 80-year-old women that are super inappropriate.
I hope so. I'm going to age gracelessly.
I need more Botox.
Put it in the budget, baby.
All right. Thank you so much.
I love you, my friend.
I hope you loved listening to that episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. Hanging out with Karla is always so much fun. And I wanted to share with you my big aha, my big takeaway. I love that Karla says, even though she's been through enough to know that the worry, the urgency will pass, she always remembers that it's transitory. Everything, the fear, the uncertainty, the moments of lack, and all of the good stuff as well, it's all transitory. She mentioned Tom Hanks once saying, and this too shall pass, whether it's the good things or the bad things. And I think that that's a really important thing for all of us to remember in creating our rich life. The good things and the bad things, it's all in movement. It's all transitory. So thanks for hanging out with us today. Make sure that you share with me what is your gold nugget you're walking away with. What are you taking from this episode and weaving into your practices, your experiences, and how you are creating your rich life? Don't forget, download the Rich Life Revolution workbook where you can create your rich life revolution just by simply turning the page. Next week, you can hang out with me all by myself. It's a solo episode and we're talking about cleaning up your money. I'm going to give you all the tips and tricks about cleaning up your finances so that you can create a clear flow of money in and out of your life and a nice place for it to pool and accumulate. Go out and live your rich life revolution. Thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you got at least one gold nugget today. Be sure to grab your copy of the Rich Life Revolution workbook to help you set the foundation for your next level of wealthy. Get it now at richliferevolution.ca, and I'll see you later.